Have you ever felt that your soul does not vibrate at the same frequency as this world, as if your essence were trying to tune into a higher, purer, truer station, while everything around you insists on pulling you down? It is not your imagination. It is not an emotional imbalance. It is not madness. It is an ancient calling, older than your memory, deeper than your flesh. And what I'm about to reveal in the next few minutes will make you understand why the last few years of your life have been so heavy, so confusing, so misaligned, and why there are real, concrete, deliberate forces acting on invisible layers to keep you trapped in a low vibration, sickened and forgetful of yourself. There is an ancient secret, older than most religions we know today, older than any printed holy book which speaks of frequency alignment, a knowledge that crossed centuries, hidden in burned manuscripts, in destroyed libraries, in mouths silenced by powers that knew exactly what they were doing. Because whoever controls the frequency of your body controls your reality. Whoever controls your vibration controls your destiny. And there is a coordinated, continuous, meticulous effort to keep the elect vibrating at a frequency so low that they can never access the spiritual power they carry within themselves. Have you ever stopped to think why, even when you have reasons to be at peace, there is a weight you cannot name, a sadness with no apparent cause, a tiredness that sleep does not resolve, a persistent feeling that you should be somewhere else, doing something else, being another version of yourself? It is because your natural frequency, the one your soul was born with, the vibrational signature that the Almighty Himself imprinted upon your spirit before you arrived in this world, is being constantly pulled down. Foods that poison, people who drain, environments that corrupt, thoughts planted by voices that are not yours, words cast against yourself without you even realizing it, everything working together in silence to make you forget who you are, what you came to do, and the spiritual authority you carry. And this is where most remain trapped for decades. They feel that something is wrong, but no one has ever taught them the invisible rules of this spiritual game. No one has ever told them that the battle for your frequency is the central battle of your existence here, and that there are manuals, maps, and teachings that were deliberately hidden from the masses. That is exactly why I prepared the powerful digital guide for you, the Elect's Handbook for Family Protection. This digital guide is not just reading, it is a complete map, written for the elect like you, which reveals who is working against your spiritual frequency, what the rules that were never told to you about vibrational alignment are, and how to shield your energy, your home's energy, and your children's energy against the forces that try to keep you misaligned. This digital guide was made for those who have awakened enough to know that the feeling of not belonging to this world is not an illness, it is a spiritual diagnosis. The link is in the first comment pinned at the top. But I must warn you, this type of content rarely remains available for long. What is on these pages challenges narratives that many have an interest in keeping intact, and there have already been real attempts to silence this knowledge before. Do not wait for the right moment. The right moment is now, chosen one, because you did not arrive at this video by accident. Download it now and comment below. I am chosen, and I will download the digital guide. Now that you have decided to act, the next truth I will tell you will be the final blow against the vibrational oppression that has been suffocating you without you even realizing it. Returning to the revelation, there are 7 layers of vibration that operate within the human body, according to ancient teachings preserved by priestly lineages that the powers of this world have tried to erase. Each layer corresponds to a spiritual portal. Each portal, when opened, tunes you into a specific plane of consciousness. And here is the best-kept secret of all. When one of the elect aligns these 7 layers simultaneously, they access something the Bible calls the mind of the Savior. It is not a metaphor, it is not a figure of speech. It is a real state of frequency, where intuition becomes certainty, where prayer becomes a command, where presence becomes authority. And that is precisely why most of you have been kept vibrating at low vibration, because one of the elect aligned across all 7 layers is a direct threat to the spiritual system that tries to enslave this humanity. Think for a moment. Why have ultra-processed foods full of chemicals that not even laboratories can pronounce been introduced massively over the last few decades? Why has the volume of information, bad news, tragedy and fear reached levels never before seen in human history? Why are family relationships being dynamited at a speed that scares even the most experienced sociologists? Why is people's sleep increasingly shallow, increasingly interrupted, increasingly insufficient? It is no coincidence. None of this is a coincidence. All of this is vibrational engineering. It is a methodical, systematic attempt to keep the frequency of humanity, and especially the frequency of the elect, on the ground. Because when you vibrate at a low vibration, you do not pray with power. When you vibrate at a low vibration, you do not see signs. When you vibrate at a low vibration, you accept less, feel more fear, and obey without questioning. And there is something even scarier that almost no one says out loud. There are real, specific entities with names recorded in ancient texts that have been removed from official canons, whose sole function is to lower the frequency of the elect. They feed on your anxiety, your anger, your fear, your sadness, and the more you vibrate in these emotions, the stronger they become, the closer they get, the more influence they exert over your decisions, over your thoughts, over your health. It was exactly this knowledge, this surgical knowledge about the invisible rules of the game, that was erased from most modern churches and replaced with generic phrases that comfort, but do not protect. And that is why I insist, I almost beg, that you download now the digital guide, the Elect's Handbook for Family Protection. Because this digital guide does not give you pretty theory. It gives you the exact map of who is playing against your frequency, which entities are attracted by which emotions, which foods lower your spiritual vibration, which words planted in your mind are keeping you trapped in cycles, and which prayers, specific, ancestral, powerful, restore your original vibrational signature. This digital guide is for those who have already understood that it is not enough to pray without knowing what you are praying against. The link is pinned at the top of the comments. It may be taken down at any moment because this content has already been the target of silencing attempts. People with a direct interest in keeping the elect misaligned do not want this information to reach you. Download it now and write in the comments, "I am chosen, and I will download the digital guide." Because as soon as you make this decision, the next excerpt of this revelation will reach an even deeper layer, the layer that almost no one has the courage to touch. There is a passage rarely discussed, almost hidden, in ancestral texts that describe the human body as an instrument of spiritual warfare, an instrument that, when tuned, emits a vibration so powerful that it effortlessly dissolves any structure of darkness surrounding it. This is why the ancient priests were obsessed with fasting, silence, meditation, long prayer, and alignment with the cycles of nature. They knew these practices were not religion, they were spiritual science. They were precise methods for retuning the body to the Father's frequency. And it was this spiritual science that was transformed into superstition, into folklore, into a joke, so that the elect of today would not have access to the same power that the elect of yesterday possessed. Have you ever wondered why ordinary men in the scriptures performed miracles, heard the Almighty clearly, and healed with a touch? It was not because they were special, it was because they lived at a vibration that modern humanity has forgotten how to access. Now observe your life for a moment. How many times a day is your vibrational field bombarded? The phone notification that pulls you from deep sleep, the news that fills you with fear before 8 in the morning, the traffic jam that fills you with irritation, the colleague's conversation that fills you with comparison, the social media post that fills you with disguised envy, the malicious comment that fills you with resentment. All of this, every day, all day long, without pause. And then at the end of the day you lie in bed and don't understand why you are exhausted. It is not the work, it is not the routine. It is your vibration having been drained 1,000 times throughout the day by 1,000 small attacks that you didn't even notice were happening. And meanwhile, the spiritual world above and around you continues to function with exact, precise rules that do not forgive those who ignore them. Rules that decide why one prayer is answered quickly, while another seems to hit the ceiling and bounce back. And here is the hardest truth of all. You are one of the elect. You were not brought into this life at a random time. You were positioned exactly in this period of transition because your soul, somewhere prior to your current memory, accepted a mission that is now being called in. And this summons is arriving in the form of intuition, in the form of strange dreams you have started to have, in the form of this persistent dissatisfaction with a life that looks good on the outside, but does not fulfill you on the inside. It is your spirit reminding you of what you came here to do, and it will not stop. It will scream louder each month until you answer. And it is precisely at this point, when the call begins to intensify, that the attacks also intensify. It is no accident that many of the elect, the moment they begin to wake up, go through the most difficult phases of their lives. Strange illnesses appear, relationships crumble, jobs collapse, finances stagnate. It is because when you begin to raise your vibration, the system that wanted you at a low vibration triggers every alarm. And if you are not prepared, if you do not know the rules, the system wins through exhaustion. That is why I wrote the digital guide, the Elect's Handbook for Family Protection, so that when these attacks come, you are not caught off guard. This digital guide is not spiritual fiction. It is a war map. It shows exactly how to recognize the signs of an attack on your vibration before it brings you down. It reveals the 7 invisible doors through which entities enter your home. It teaches specific prayers, not generic specific, to restore the vibration lost in every area of your life. It explains how to shield your children's vibration against the forces being unleashed upon the next generation of the elect. This digital guide is for those who have understood that vague information protects no one. The link is pinned at the top of the comments. Download it now before it vanishes, because it has vanished before, and I cannot guarantee how long it will remain available. Those interested in keeping the elect misaligned know that when this knowledge reaches the right hands, the game changes. Download now and comment, "I am chosen and I will download the digital guide." Because from here on, with you committed to your vibrational elevation, what I am going to reveal is the core of the war, the secret that will make you understand why this feeling of being out of sync with the world has always followed you. There is a specific vibration described in teachings that were removed from the official biblical texts at the councils of antiquity, which is called the Father's frequency. Some ancient mystics called it the fundamental note, others the primordial sound. And what practically no one knows today is that this specific vibration is the original vibrational signature of every human being created in the image and likeness of the Almighty. Every person is born tuned to this vibration. Every baby cries in a note tuned to the Maker. And over the years, through trauma, negative words, toxic environments, corrupted diet, and exposure to destructive information, this tuning is gradually lost. You stop vibrating at the fundamental note and begin to vibrate at dissonant notes, notes that attract dissonant experiences, dissonant people, dissonant cycles. Your entire life, then, becomes an out-of-tune symphony, and you do not understand why. You try new music, new therapy, a new job, a new city, a new relationship. But the dissonance remains, because the problem is not in your life. The problem is in your vibration. And now listen carefully, because this is the part they tried hardest to hide. Frequency alignment does not happen by accident. It requires 3 things simultaneously, 3 keys that must turn at the same time, or no door opens. The first key is the conscious, what you let into your mind every day, the information, the images, the words. The second key is the body, what you eat, how you breathe, how much you sleep, how you move. The third key, and the most powerful of all, is the spirit, how you pray, whom you connect with spiritually, which names you call upon, which covenants you make even without realizing it. If any of these 3 keys is misaligned, the portal of high vibration remains closed. And here is the genius of the strategy against the elect. Never attack all 3 keys at once. Always attack one. Only one. The one you will notice the least. Do you realize it now? You may be praying every day, going to church, reading the entire Bible, but if your diet is sabotaging your bodily frequency, the portal will not open. You may be eating perfectly, working out, sleeping well, but if your mind is bombarded by bad news, by toxic social media, by poisoned conversations, the portal will not open. You may be meditating, taking care of yourself, distancing yourself from what is bad, but if you maintain a silent pact with an old emotion, with a forgiveness that was never granted, with an anger that still burns, the portal will not open. And as long as the portal does not open, you continue living a life that seems good but does not fulfill you, a life that others envy but you yourself feel is empty. Because true fulfillment only comes when the three keys turn together, when the conscious, the body, and the spirit vibrate on the same note, when you rediscover the Father's frequency that has always been whispering within you. And there is a real spiritual urgency happening right now. This is not dramatization. This is not an appeal. It is a diagnosis. The planet is undergoing a collective frequency shift. Honest scientists are already measuring variations in the Earth's magnetic field that have no conventional explanation. The ancients predicted this period. Texts that were removed from the official canons spoke of a great attunement, a moment in which the elect who were aligned would rise in consciousness, while those who were misaligned would sink into confusion. And this moment is not a distant prophecy for 1,000 years from now. This moment is happening now all around you, inside you in your sense of spiritual urgency, in your inexplicable fatigue, in your desire to wake up but not knowing how. There is an ancient principle that stated, when the world accelerates, those who are misaligned disintegrate, those who are aligned are illuminated, and this acceleration has already begun. You notice it when you see people close to you, once balanced, once controlled, collapsing emotionally for no apparent reason. You notice it when you see families that seemed solid falling apart in months. You notice it when you see entire religious communities entering crisis at the same time. This is not a coincidence. It is the vibrational acceleration exposing everything that was misaligned. Everything that was not tuned to the fundamental note is starting to crack because the general field is rising, and the elect who do not rise along with it will suffer an ever-increasing dissonance. And the elect who learn the rules will undergo an expansion of consciousness that no other generation has experienced. And how to recognize one of the elect? There are specific signs that the ancient mystics catalogued with precision in documents that still exist, kept far from common eyes. The elect feel cold or chills during moments of deep prayer. The elect have vivid dreams that seem to convey real information. The elect perceive people's hidden intentions just by looking into their eyes. The elect have an almost painful sensitivity to dense environments, to heavy people, to places with stagnant energy. The elect feel an inexplicable attraction to certain spiritual themes that most find strange. The elect perceive constant synchronicities, repeated numbers, coincidences that seem like messages, meetings at the right moment with the right people. If you are feeling 3 or more of these signs, this is not a coincidence. You were brought to this video by the same force that led you to feel all of this your entire life. And the question that naturally arises is, if I am one of the elect, and if this acceleration is happening, what do I do now? The answer is not simple because it involves the 3 keys, but I will give you the first practical step right now. The first step is conscious silence. Every day for at least 10 minutes, without a cell phone, without music, without noise, without stimulation, you sit and you listen. You ask for nothing. You say nothing. You just listen. And what will happen in the first few weeks will frighten you. Thoughts will come in a cascade. Memories will emerge. Emotions will arise out of nowhere. This is the spiritual body expelling layers of dissonance. Persist. After 21 days, something changes. A stillness begins to settle in, and it is within this stillness that the fundamental note, the Father's frequency, begins to be heard again, just as it always was before the world put you out of tune. But I must warn you of something very serious now, and please do not skip this part. At the exact moment you decide to align yourself, the attack intensifies. It is a spiritual law. It is as if an alarm were triggered on the invisible plane when one of the elect decides to retune to the frequency of the Maker. Strange things start to happen. Arguments arising out of nowhere with those close to you. Abnormal laziness to practice the silence. A sudden urge to give up. Pains in parts of the body that never hurt before. Nightmares, insomnia. All of this is a sign that the process is working, and that you need specific protection, specific knowledge, and specific strategy to get through this phase without succumbing. And what is at stake is your life, but not only your life. Your entire family suffers the consequences of your being out of tune. The children in your home absorb your frequency. They sleep poorly when you are misaligned. They become irritable when you are dense. They fall ill when the vibrational environment of the house is corrupted. And no one told you this. No one explained to you that your children's problems might be fueled by the vibrational dissonance that haunts your home without you realizing it. And that when you, the elect responsible for that household, align yourself, the entire home aligns. The children's dreams change. The fighting falls silent. Prosperity finds a way in. Sickness loses its place. It is not an isolated miracle. It is spiritual law in action. It is the frequency elevating the entire field around you. And there is something even more beautiful hidden in all of this. When you begin to align yourself, you begin to magnetize other members of the elect. The right people begin to appear in your life as if out of thin air. Conversations with strangers reveal specific messages for you. Books you needed to read fall into your hands. Videos you needed to watch appear on your screen without you searching for them. And you realize with growing astonishment that there is an invisible network of the elect operating beneath the surface of this world, and that this network is connecting faster and faster because the moment demands it. You are not alone. You never were. You were just too out of tune to be able to hear the others who had also always been vibrating around you. And now with all of this in your consciousness, you understand why you have always felt different. You understand why no common environment has ever fulfilled you. You understand why shallow relationships exhausted you. You understand why your soul has always sought more. It was not your problem, it was memory. It was vibrational memory of an original state from which you were separated, and which you now have the real, concrete, immediate chance to recover. But this recovery does not happen with loose information. It does not happen with scattered random videos. It does not happen by jumping from teacher to teacher, from theory to theory without a structured guide. This recovery happens with a map that respects the correct order, a map that begins with the foundations and ascends layer by layer, a map that has already been tested, applied, and has changed the lives of people who were exactly where you are now, feeling the call, but without knowing where to begin. And this map is within the digital guide, the Elect's Handbook for Family Protection. This digital guide was written exactly for this moment in your life, the moment when the feeling that there is something more has become impossible to ignore, the moment when you need concrete answers and no longer generic phrases. Inside it, you will find the complete process for retuning the 3 keys. You will find ancestral prayers that were stripped from common worship, yet continue to operate with power for those who know how to use them. You will find the list of foods that are undermining your low vibration without you even realizing it. You will find the map of the 7 invisible doors of your home and how to shield them. You will find the protocol for the spiritual protection of your children against the forces being unleashed upon the next generation. You will find the revealed synchronicities, what each number, each sign, each dream is telling you. You will find the exact stages for the first 21 days of realignment, day by day with no fluff. This digital guide is not spiritual literature. It is a tool of war. The link is pinned in the first comment at the top, and I will repeat it because it is important. This content has already been a target of attempts at silencing, because whoever controls the frequency of the elect controls the course of this planetary transition. Do not leave this for later. The right moment is now, exactly now, with this feeling burning in your chest as you listen to me. Download it now and comment below. I am chosen, and I will download the digital guide. Make this public declaration, this act of faith, because the spiritual realm records it. And when you register it, something moves in your favor. And before I conclude, I want to leave you with one final reflection, because this one will stay with you for the next few hours. There is an ancient verse, kept in texts considered apocryphal by some and hidden by others, which went something like this. When the father's child recognizes the note that created them, the body heals, the home fills, the enemy falls silent. It is not magic. It is not fantasy. It is a description of a vibrational law that has always operated and always will. And this note, the note that created you, has never ceased to sound within you. It has only been muffled by decades of accumulated dissonance. When you begin to clear this dissonance layer by layer, following the correct map, the note sounds once again. And when it sounds, everything around you reorganizes because the entire creation responds to the Father's frequency, echoing through one of the aligned children. You have been chosen. You arrived at this video because you were brought here. You felt everything you felt because it was memory awakening. You are ready because the Spirit itself has brought you to this point. Only one move remains yours. Do not let this energy disperse. Do not close this video and go to sleep with this revelation floating without action. Download the digital guide, the Elect's Handbook for Family Protection right now. The link is pinned in the first comment at the top, and start today, tonight, this very early morning if need be, the process that will change the frequency of your life, your home, your blood, and the generations that will come from you. Comment "I am chosen," and I will download the digital guide and receive the silent confirmation from the spiritual plane that your decision has been recorded. You are not an observer of this story. You are a central piece, and the board is waiting for your next move.